Hi, welcome to Healing Archetypes, presented at the Universal Healing Center in Miami, Florida. This is such an exciting thing for me because I really enjoy talking about healing. You know, I don't know if I like talking about healing because healing is just one of those good subjects that will push us into a better future. Or maybe I've had enough pain in my life to show me that you usually have two choices. Here are the two choices. Choices are that you could continue on in your patterns of pain, or you can decide that healing is a possibility. And when you decide that healing is a possibility, you must be committed to doing all that it will take to experience or manifest healing. Well, I pretty much have experienced coming to that place many times in my life. And so today, we want to explore one of my most favorite and a very fascinating attribute or aspect or archetype of healing. And that is the healing powers of the shaman. Well, I don't know if you know, but the shaman is one of the oldest healers in the world. You know, and this is really, I will say before Bible time, the shaman was the healer in the tribe. You know, I said something earlier that I really would like to correct. You know what? I said that when it came to healing, you had two choices. You could either be healed or you could continue in your patterns of pain. Well, you got more choices than that. You could be like some people and you could continue and come to parties and barbecues and talk about your pain. And you could go to work and cry amongst your coworkers, you know. Well, they'll console you a little bit, and then as you leave, they're going to talk about you. You could display that pain in the world, like we see all the time. You know, a lot of times we see these suicide killings, and which I believe is both displays of pain and mostly, you know, displays of mental illness. But besides all of that, there are many options as to what we can do with our pain. If you're a parent, you can display that pain on the lives of your children. You can wake up with an attitude. You could abuse your kids. You could, I don't know. There are so many options as to what we can do with our pain or with our hurts or with our illnesses. I just have chosen to heal. And I hope you do the same, because if you've noticed in your life, okay, if you really are honest, your life has been filled with a lot of pain. You have stories and stories about how bad people have done you, and you have stories about how and don't get me wrong, okay, the people have done you wrong. They have done it. You have stories and stories about how you have been mistreated and abused. And don't you for a second get me wrong. You have been abused. But what am I saying? I'm saying that those same choices are presented to you today. And if I were you, I would decide, hey, you know what? I have been mistreated. I have been abused. Pain has entered my world, to say. But I want to heal. I don't want to continue on in the patterns of the miseries of pain. I want healing. So I know that most times, anything that is a class can have the potential to be boring. And a lot of times, the reasons why we don't have good spiritual teachings is simply because most people don't have the patience that it would take to sit through a spiritual class. You know, we want to be entertained. And a lot of times when we find ourselves sitting inside of a chair and looking at someone, we move into the archetype of the entertainer, which is, I desire for you to entertain me. Well, I want to let you know something. I'm not in the archetype of the entertainer. I have almost zero interest in trying to entertain you today because, well, let me tell you why. When you're in the archetype of the entertainer comes on stage. The entertainer has usually two motives. The entertainer's motive is, I want to entertain my audience because I want them to clap. And the entertainer's motive also is I want to be a star. And to be honest with you, I don't have either of those two today. I would more so link what I'm doing right now to the archetype of the messenger. I want you to picture something really quick. Come on, close your eyes. We're going to call this a visualization. It's so hard to say that word. Who cares? Listen, close your eyes. I want you to picture yourself at home, having a glass of lemonade, sitting down on the couch, okay? And then all of a sudden, the phone rings. Ring, 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 ring. And at first, you are so into your television show that you say, you know what? I'll check the caller ID later, and I'll figure out who it was. But then that phone keeps ringing and ringing and ringing, and it's almost becoming irritating. So finally, you say, you know what? You walk over to the phone, and you pick it up. Now, you want to really get back to your television show, This is the season finale playing on television tonight of your favorite reality show. And you want to get back to the TV, but this phone call is interrupting you. When you answer the phone, there's a man on the other side. And he says, hello? And he calls your name. And your first response is, who is this? And what he says is, this is Mr. Beep. I'm calling from the FBI. And I want to let you know that your life is in danger. And I have some valuable information that I need to tell you. Because I could possibly today save your life. Now, at that moment, two things would happen. Well, number one, you would have to pick your heart up off the ground and put it back in your chest. And as you stare at that wall with that phone to your ears, a couple of things would happen. Number one, you would get quiet. For the first time in your life, you would be quiet. You would get really quiet and still. The other thing that would happen is that everything else in your life going on at that moment wouldn't matter. You would zoom in to that conversation on that phone. This man is telling me that my life is in danger, and he has valuable information that would help me today to possibly save my life. Oh gosh. Well, let's say that you don't even take it that deep, and you are not really moved by that information. And you're one of those strong people that can look, things right in the eye. I still think at least the least thing you would do is cut the damn television off so you can respect the phone call and get the information. Kind of like us today. I have rules to this game. I just do. Every class has its rules, and so I'm going to give you mine. Number one, you're going to get the place that you're in quiet. I don't want to talk over people. It's silly. So I'm going to ask you to cut your television off. Maybe even ask, your boyfriend or girlfriend to go home. And you'll talk to them later. They'll live. You're going to get in a quiet place. Because I want you to hear everything that this 15 minutes has to say to you. The other thing is I want you to set the ambiance of where you are to be a constructive place for healing. Meaning that let's get all the things out of the room that would distract us. Maybe put your cell phone on silent. Yeah. Maybe cut off that background radio music. We love to create, this passionate place. Cut the lights off, Get your notebook out, okay? I'm going to say things that you need to write down. I'm going to ask you questions, and I'm going to give you meditations that you need to really write down. We're in class, people. Let's play the game accordingly. Are you ready? Let's do it. Okay, the Shaman. Shaman. And if I spelled it wrong, go on Google and figure out how to spell it. Let's go. All right, the archetype of the shaman. As I said earlier, the shaman was one of the first healers in the world because the shaman was the healer of the tribe. Now, when we speak of the tribe, I must tell you that the tribe always reminds us of our first chakra experience, our tribal experience. The tribe represents you at your most natural form. You at your most regular self. What do I mean by that? This is the part of you that doesn't have a bachelor's degree, hasn't received a humanitarian award, is not the class clown, is not the best dressed at your job, because all of those things move up the line of chakras. You know, they're in the second, more so like the third and the fourth chakras of human life experience. The shaman represents the healing of the person that sits alone at home with you, and that's you. And it stretches out a little bit, okay? It does move out a little bit besides that intimate, okay? But, well, let me just say this. No one goes to the shaman, okay, to ask the shaman for a magic potion because their cousin who has a coworker, who has an uncle, who has a little niece, who has a daddy who is sick. No one does that, okay? You go to the shaman because, hey, shaman, would you please put a magic potion together because my daughter is sick. The closest things to me are affected. Please heal those things that are deep and intimate to me. This is the experience with the shaman, the healing man of the tribe. And don't think I'm sexist, okay? It's not necessarily just a healing man, okay? If you're a woman, it's a healing woman. And if you're not sure what you are, we're not sure what he is or she is, or who cares, okay? The shaman represents the person. When you're at that last moment of desperation because something has truly went wrong, we go to the shaman to say, please switch the luck of the situation. We go to the shaman to say, please save the situation. It's at its very end, and we see destruction, or we see unhealable pain. Oh, shaman, would you please use your magic powers to make a difference? Okay, here's the definition of the shaman. The shaman is a member of the tribe who acts as a representative, sitting smack in the middle between what is seen and what is unseen. In other words, a shaman is the mediator between the visible things and the invisible things. Oh, shaman, I see my sick daughter, but who is causing this sickness, shaman? Is it the gods? Well, if it is the gods, I can't see the gods. So what I ask you, oh shaman, is to go and speak to the gods and ask them to please allow this sickness to leave the life of my daughter. The shaman. The shaman also represents the ability to see the invisible. You know, right now, if I told you to pray for something, and then tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock it shows up on your doorstep. Let's imagine something. I want you to think of your first love. And I want you, and well, you know, I don't even know if I should have asked that because I probably just killed the mood. Anyways, think of somebody you actually truly like, or imagine yourself to like. And I said, I want you to close your eyes and pray for them to show up on your doorstep tomorrow. And you closed your eyes and you said a prayer. Now, tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock, that person shows up on your doorstep. Wow. They show up with a bunch of roses. Or if you're into candy, they show up with a box of candy. Or if you're into Chinese food, they show up with a carton of Chinese food. Oh God, how did this happen? Oh shaman, look what you've done. You've moved the invisible to happen. I didn't see when they changed their mind and wanted to come back home. But oh shaman, you were able to connect with them way across the land and move their heart to come back home. Oh shaman, how did you do it? How did you do it? It happened in the invisible world. And that is what the shaman brings us to ask ourselves. What is our relationship with the invisible world? What is our relationship with God? Or whoever we call God? Or whatever we think God is? Now, don't get sidetracked, because the point I'm trying to bring out here is that each of us, and I want you to listen to this, each of us who have ever felt the unction to help another person, what we're tapping into is our inner shaman. That archetype has webbed itself into our fibers. And each of us in this day and age, we have a mini little shaman down on the inside of us. Now, whether you want your little shaman or not, you got it, okay? And what we need to do today is to pay attention to the shaman. And look at the shaman and say, you know what? Just like in any occupation or in any practice, you can practice effectively or you can practice in a negative way. So since I have a little shaman down on the inside of me, I want to know something about my shaman. Is he a nice shaman? Or is he a mean shaman? Is he an insecure shaman? Or is he an advanced shaman? What's my shaman? Okay, now, on this archetype, we want to cover two areas. Okay, first, get your pen, okay, because you're going to write this down. Okay? I'm going to give you the meditation, meaning I'm going to give you a question. And then I want you to write it down, pause this audio, grab yourself by the ear, sit yourself in a corner and say, hey, you're not getting up until you give me answers. And demand yourself to answer these questions. Because if there's a shaman down on the inside of you, I want to know, is he a faithful shaman that obeys the gods and gives the right medicine to the people? Or is he a crook who takes advantage of the people or your own self, full of lustful and selfish desire, and uses his magic only to practice for his own gain? I want to know. First off, let's say, here's your first meditation, okay? And I want you to write down this fact about the shaman. The shaman has a love for the practice of magic. And if you're a Christian, I know you backed off right there and said, magic, I don't trust that. But if you can take 5 seconds and stop being so prejudiced with words, okay? Magic is simply the art of seeking to control or forecast natural events. Write that down. The art of seeking to control or forecast natural events. Let me tell you something. As humans, we practice magic every day of our lives, whether we are conscious of it or not. We're walking around in everyday life and we are practicing magic. And I know what you're going to say. You're going to say, I don't practice magic. You didn't see me walking around here every day in my everyday life pulling a rabbit out of my hat. Well, you know what? Yes, I do. Let someone ask you a question that you are uncomfortable with answering. And let's see the rabbit that you pull out of your hat. Let's see the elaborate story that you will make up to control that person's opinion about yourself. Magic. Where do you work? And you work, at this point, you work at a fast food restaurant. That's just where you work. The gods have lined you up to work at Burger King. But instead of honoring that, you'll come up with an elaborate, well, I'm in school right now. And you know, I'm working in customer service. And I'm doing a sales job. Where did this stuff come from? Well, you pulled it out of your hat of imagination in order to make sure that no one ever thinks of you as a failure. I want to control what goes on in my life. And I want to control how people see me. And I want to be honored as a powerful magic man. I want people to look up to me. I want to appear like I have all of the answers. And as a shaman, I can never be caught without a magic portion in my hand. I can never be caught simply admitting that I'm waiting on the gods. Here are your questions. And after you write these questions down, I want you to pause this audio. I want you to sit and think about each answer. And I want you to have a talk with yourself. Because as a shaman, you're going to have that talk with yourself. Because at the end of your life, you're going to want to know, did I do what I was called to do for this tribe? and for myself? Or did I simply come here and show off for the tribe? Did they praise me simply because I called myself a powerful medicine man? Did I proclaim that I had powers that I never even experienced? What type of shaman are you? Do you tell people to believe in themselves? And in reality, when you go home, you don't even believe in yourself. You don't. Do you tell people that they should have self-esteem? And all you do when you get home is sit in the mirror and pick on yourself. Look at that. Look at that. Oh, that's ugly. Oh gosh, I gotta do that better. Oh my goodness. What about that sounds like self-esteem? Absolutely nothing. Do you tell people about healing powers? And when it comes to your own life, you haven't took the time to go through your own life and find the areas where you yourself need emotional healing. What type of shaman are you? Question 1 is, how much do I seek to control my everyday life? Am I surrendered to the gods? Or must everything go according to how I choose for it to go? Question 2. Are my prayers pure? Do I truly want the will of God? Or do I just simply have a big ego with big dreams and big aspirations? And hey, I need the heavens to back me up. Come on, God. I have a plan here. Question 3. Am I constantly doing things to manipulate people to like me? Do I answer questions with honesty? Am I true to who I am? Or do I just simply, like I gave the illustration earlier, am I constantly pulling rabbits out of my hat to impress others and cause for them to like me? Question 4. Some would actually consider question 4 as a really positive question, but it has deep meaning. Here's the question. Am I creating magic with the ingredients I have been given? Am I creating magic with the ingredients I have been given? Am I creating positive magic with the ingredients that the gods have given me? Do I honor my job at this burger spot? Or do I feel like I'm a failure waiting for another job? Do I look at my family, the one I've been given, and honor them? Or do I wish I was a part of another family? Do I live my life from the space of honoring what has been given to me? Think about it. As you travel to find the answers to these questions, it's going to get quiet, and even more quiet. It's truly because you're experiencing what the Bible calls, He leadeth me beside still waters. But understand that you are headed in the exact direction that you want to be headed in. Because immediately after that scripture comes a scripture that says, He restoreth my soul. And as you find the answers to these questions, you will restore your soul. So today, be restored, be healed. Oh, shaman,